30 hours prior to outbreak. There exists in this world a spider the size of a dinner plate, a foot wide if you include the legs. It's called the Goliath bird-eating spider, or the Goliath fucking bird-eating spider, by those who have actually seen one. It doesn't eat only birds, it eats mostly rats and insects, but they still call it the bird-eating spider, because the fact that it can eat a bird is the most important thing you need to know about it. If you run across one of these things, like in your closet or crawling out of your bowl of soup, the first thing somebody will say is, "Watch it, man, that thing can eat a goddamned bird." I don't know how they catch the birds. I know the Goliath fucking bird-eating spider can't fly, because if it could, it would have a different name entirely. We would call it Sir, because it would be the dominant species on the planet. None of us would leave the house unless a Goliath fucking flying bird-eating spider said it was okay. I've seen one of those things in person, at a zoo when I was in high school. I was 15, my face breaking out in acne and getting fatter by the day, staring open-mouthed at this monster pawing at the glass wall of its cage, big as both of my hands. The guys around me were giggling and punching each other in the arm, and some girl was squealing behind me, but I didn't make a sound. I couldn't. There was nothing but a pane of glass between me and that thing. For months after, I'd watch the dark corners of my bedroom at night, the hairy legs as thick as a finger poking out from behind a stack of comic books and video game magazines. I imagined, no, expected to find strands of spiderweb as thick as fishing line in my closet, bulging with clumps of half-eaten sparrows, or spider droppings in my shoes, little turds laced with bits of feathers, or piles of pink eggs, yoked with baby spiders already the size of golf balls. And even now, 10 years later, and at the age of 25, I still glance between the sheets at night before pushing my legs in, some part of my subconscious still looking for the huge spider crouching in the shadows. I bring this up because the Goliath was the first thing that popped into my mind when I woke up with something in my bed, biting my leg. I felt a pinch in my ankle, like digging needles. The Goliath fucking bird-eating spider leapt out of the fog of my sleepy imagination as I flung the blankets aside. It was dark. Lights were off. Clock off. Everything off. I sat up and squinted down at my leg. Movement, down by the sheets. I swung my leg off the bed and I could feel the weight of something clinging to the ankle, heavy as a can of beer. A spasm of panic ripped through me. I kicked out with the leg, grunting in the chill air of my dark bedroom, trying to shake off the little biting whatever it was. The thing went flying across the room, passing through a shaft of moonlight spilling in around my blinds. In that brief second, I saw a flash of jointed legs. Lots of legs. And a tail. Armored plates like a lobster. The whole thing was as long as a shoe. Black. What in the name of... The creature that my panicked mind was calling a spider, even though it clearly wasn't an arachnid or any other species native to planet Earth, flew across the bedroom and hit the wall, landing behind a basket of laundry. I bolted up out of the bed, squinting, edging around the room, feeling the wall with my hands. I blinked, trying to get my night vision, scanning for something to use as a weapon. I pawed around at the jumble of objects on my nightstand, saw something jutting out from under a copy of Entertainment Weekly, round and slim. I thought maybe it was the hilt of a knife. I grabbed it and threw it, realizing only after it was airborne that it was my asthma inhaler. I reached again, grabbed for what looked like the heaviest object on the table, a jar of cheese sauce. I spotted movement across the baseboard. I chucked the jar, grunting with the effort. A thud, a tinkle of broken glass. Silence. I grabbed the table lamp, a novelty item that consisted of a naked bulb jutting out of the stained glass sculpture of a turkey. A birthday present from John. I yanked at the cord from the wall and raised the turkey by the neck, holding it over my shoulder like a quarterback photographed in mid-throw. The spider, skittered across the floor, out the doorway and into the living room. It had legs all over it, walking on half a dozen legs with another half-dozen sticking up in the air like dreadlocks. Like the thing was made to keep running even on its back. The sight of the thing froze me. An awful, primal, paralyzing terror that only accompanies an encounter with something completely alien. I lowered the lamp and forced myself to take a step forward. I tried to control my breathing. I risked a glance down at my leg and saw a crimson stripe linking again down from the bite. That little bastard. I felt a heat, then a numbness, creeping its way up my leg. I don't know if the little monster was poisonous or if it was just the shock of getting bitten. I took 3 steps toward the doorway and had developed a serious limp by the 4th. I slowly peered into the living room. Not quite as dark in here. The street lamps outside spilling half-hearted ribbons of light on the floor, writhing among shadows of wind-blown tree branches. No sign of the spider. I heard a scratchy rustle from the kitchen tiles to my left and spun on it. It was a dog. Molly stepped sleepily toward me, a knee-high reddish shape topped by two eyes reflecting bluish moonlight. I caught the faint blur of a wagging tail behind her. She was looking right at me, wondering why I was up, wondering why I smelled like terror sweat, wondering if I had any snacks on me. I glanced toward the front door, 10 feet of carpet between me and it. I had half made up my mind to pack Molly into the car and flee to John's place, then regroup to this so that the two of us could come back here tomorrow with a shotgun and holy water. My feet had never been so bare, those little naked toes, that spider thing probably looking at like the ears on a chocolate bunny. Where'd I left my shoes? I brandished the turkey lamp, and I took a shaky step, my bitten left leg having fallen asleep. I willed it to hold up from here to the driveway. A scream from behind me. I flinched and spun, then realized it was my phone. John had set my phone's text message ringtone to a sound clip of him screaming, "Text! Shit!" I never figured out how to change it back. I snatched the phone from the coffee table and saw it was a blank message with an attached photo. I opened the image. A man's penis. I quickly closed it. What the hell? The phone sounded again in my hand. A call this time. I answered. "Dave, don't talk. Listen, you have a picture in your inbox. Do not open it. I just sent it to the wrong number." Jesus Christ, John, listen to me. Man, you sound out of breath. John, The phone slipped from my fingers, which were suddenly unable to grip it. I took a step toward the fallen phone, then another. The room started wobbling in front of my eyes, losing my balance. No, you cannot fall. You cannot go down there with that thing. I fell face first on the carpet. My left leg was 50 pounds of dead weight dragging behind me. My right leg was tingling now, terror pumping the poison through my veins with horrible efficiency. I swung an arm around, finding the coffee table. I clawed at it, tried to raise myself. No grip with that hand. Flat on the floor again. I didn't even feel the impact on the shoulder I landed on. "Help! Somebody!" I squealed. I wish I knew the names of my neighbors. "Help!" The last cry ended in a croak. The cell phone screamed again. Mustering every last calorie of energy from my right arm, I reached out for a phone that seemed to be 10 miles away. I got my dead fingers on top of it, then dragged it across the carpet toward my face. It was as heavy as a bag of concrete. Manipulating the hand was like trying to fish a stuffed animal out of one of those claw games at the carnival. I saw that the incoming message was from John. "John!" I screamed at the phone stupidly. I slapped at the buttons with my clumsy carnival claw hand. I fought to lift my head from the floor. The screen changed. An image appeared. Penis. My arm went dead. My head bounced off the floor. Spinal cord totally unplugged now. I was staring across an expanse of carpet, seeing tumbleweeds of dog hair that had gathered under the TV cabinet across the room. Couldn't look away. Didn't even have that much muscle control. Couldn't close my eyes. I could hear, though. And I detected the ever-so-faint rustling of carpet. Many little feet stepping through the fibers. Hard, black, jointed legs shuffled into view. The spider completely filled my field of vision. No more than 6 inches from my eyes. Legs everywhere. A half dozen of them were coated in nacho cheese sauce. The creature's mouth was as big as mine, surrounded by needle-thin mandibles. 2 lips parted, and I saw with revulsion that it had a pink tongue, exactly like a human's. It inched towards my face. The spider was my world, its many glistening black legs extending past both of the horizon. I could count the taste buds on its lolling pink tongue, could see the wet ridges of the roof of its mouth. Its carapace glistened with some kind of slime. 2 of its legs were touching my mouth. It tickled. A huge furry nose descended into my field of vision, like the fuzzy snout of God himself. Molly had finally grown curious enough to the situation to wander in from the kitchen. Her nose twitched as she detected the smell of nacho cheese. She licked the spider, discovered that her most ambitious doggy dream had finally come true, naturally cheese-coated prey. With a snap of her jaws and a quick twist of her head, she ripped off 4 of the monster's legs and buckled down to the hard work of chewing them. The spider shrieked with a piercing noise that made my bones vibrate. It sped from view so fast I had no idea what direction it went.